So in this video, I'm going to show you how to become a Dragon Lord that can deal a lot of damage to enemies in a short amount of time. If you want to put this build together and you want it to be even stronger than the first part of the showcase, I recommend sticking around for the entire video because I will give you all the info needed to make this even stronger. We have magic, we also have frost, we even have fire. We also have some holy damage, and the best one of them all, we have the ability to apply Scarlet Rot. So, welcome back to Elden Ring. Just very quickly before we do get into the build, if you are not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, all support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, then check out the links in the description, and let's get into this one. So you are running Dragon Incantations, that's how you are going to buff everything related to dragons and become the ultimate Dragon Lord. You are going to need the Dragon Communion Seal in order to do this, and you can get this at the start of the game. The stats you are going to focus on are obviously your Vigor to build your health up. You are going to focus on your mind so that you have a higher FP. You are then also going to focus on your faith, but not too much, just enough to run the incantations. And then primarily, you are going to focus on your Arcane, because if you take a look at the Dragon Communion Seal, it has an S tier scaling for Arcane, and this is what's going to boost your Dragon Communion incantations. So just get yourself enough faith so that you can use the incantations, put the rest into Arcane with some mind and vigor in there for a bigger health pool and also extra FP. You are going to run the armor that gives you the highest amount of poise. I know mine is only 21, but some of these do take quite a long time to cast. So what you'll need to do is build up your poise. I'd get it to try and get about 56. That is one of the soft caps, is going to allow you to basically not get knocked over from a fairly heavy hit. The armor is completely optional. If you wanted to, if you don't have that high Arcane, you can take down Mimic tier and you can get the Silver tier mask, which will give you an extra 8 Arcane. There are also talismans you can use to boost your Arcane. One of the examples I can give is Marika's Sourcil. If I was to switch it out for another one, you'll see my Arcane, as well as my Faith, Intelligence and Mind, go down by 5. So Marika's Sourcil I would highly recommend. Another talisman you can run is the Ritual Sword Talisman. It raises your attack power when your health is at maximum. And I never had that on the build, so I will go back and I will show you the damage difference from the start of the video with the showcase. I will show you how much extra damage you deal just by running this talisman. Then it's an absolute no-brainer. It's pretty much mandatory in this build. Phlox Canvas Talisman. It greatly raises the potency of your incantations. Then if you are going to focus on the fire-breathing dragon incantation, put on Fire Scorpion Charm, I would basically run one of the Scorpion Charms that's going to raise the attack damage of the status effect you're wanting to apply. So that's Talisman's armor and the Seal. In the Flask of Wondrous Physic, I am running the Flame Shrouding crack tier. You can change that for Holy, you can change it for Magic. Again, depends on which incantation you want to prioritize over the others. And then another no-brainer is Cerulean Hidden tier, and that is because it's going to eliminate all of your FP consumption, and these Dragon Incantations use a lot of FP. That will then leave one item in the build, and you are going to want to use the Commander's Standard. The reason you are going to want to use this is because it has a skill called Rallying Standard. Rallying Standard is going to increase the damage dealt by weapons and spells by a hefty 20%. It's also going to reduce the damage you take by 20%, so you can stay alive much longer if you use Rallying Standard. So if we take a look at a Gil's Flame and we use it standard against this enemy in Gatefront, we are going to deal 925 damage. If I then use a Rallying Standard and then I use a Gil's Flame, that 925 is going to go up to 1111. Then from the 1111, the one thing you are not going to want to do is use Golden Vow, because if we proc Rallying Standard, so we get that buff, then we use Golden Vow, If we then go and attack this enemy, instead of dealing 1111, we're going to deal 958. It brings the damage all the way down because Rallying Standard does not buff, it doesn't stack with Golden Vow. Golden Vow takes over and it's going to give you a nice damage increase, but Rallying Standard gives you a better percentage. So when it comes to Dragon Incantations, you are going to have to take down a lot of the dragons in the game. One of them will be in the Crumbling Farum Azula. He will be the Dragon Lord, and he's an absolute nightmare to take down. Can be incredibly hard, it's very, very late game, but the Dragon Incantations are totally worth the effort to get your hands on. So the Dragon Incantations I run are Placidusax's Ruin. This is going to be the Golden Breath of the Dragon Lord, and this is going to be the one that's based on holy damage. You will need 36 faith to use this. So the max amount of faith you really want is about 36. You don't need to go any higher. These are going to scale much better on your Arcane stat. However, moving into Rotten Breath, this will use a little bit of Arcane. The highest Arcane you will need is 15. And this is the one that's going to spew Scarlet Rot everywhere. And that is what's going to proc on an enemy and then deal ticking damage for 3 minutes. And this can be the difference between winning a boss fight and losing a boss fight. It's going to be much more beneficial against bosses because they have larger health pools, and it ticks based on a percentage of their HP. The next one is Smaragd's Glintstone Breath. This is going to be your magic-based Dragon Incantation, and this one is based on a higher Arcane. Arcane is 15. It's also the same amount for Borealis's Mist and Agil's Flame, whereas Rotten Breath is only 12 and Placidusax's Ruin is 0. Then Borealis's Mist is another one we're going to use because it's going to spew Icy Breath, so it will deal Frostbite damage. It's going to be really, really good for dealing damage, but also it will lower the enemy's damage absorption by 20%. So they are going to be a little bit more prone to taking damage. It's going to help you out in a lot of different situations in the game. Then the final one is Agil's Flame. This is the earliest one to get. The dragon that holds this will be found in Agil Lake, which is just over to the right hand side or over to the east of where you start in Limgrave at the first step. In order to get your hands on any of the Dragon Incantations, you will have to take down the dragons that do hold the incantations. So as I said, with Agil's Flame, you'll find the dragon in Agil Lake. Then with Borealis's Mist, you're going to have to come up to the Freezing Lake in the Mountaintops of the Giants region. And basically, when you take down the dragons, you will get the dragon hearts. So you'll get the hearts of the dragons. And then in Caelid, you come down to the Cathedral of Dragon Communion. When you are here at the cathedral, if you head over to the southwest side, you are going to see this little altar. And if you go into the Ritual of Dragon Communion, you can use your dragon hearts and you can unlock all of the dragon incantations from the dragons you have defeated. So what I'm going to do for this one is I am going to use Smaragd's Glintstone Breath this time. Again using my flask and then using Rallying Standard. We come over here and we use our dragon and just look at how nice that damage is. 3,500 on the bar, and yeah, almost half of Blackblade's health gone in one use. If we drink our flask and we use Rallying Standard, then we use Rotten Breath. When it starts to deal the damage, just look at how nice that ticks and how much it builds up. And over time, you will see that he is going to... he's just going to tick to death because of Scarlet Rot proccing. This time round, we're going to use Smaragd's Glintstone Breath. And you will see just how nice the damage is on that one. He is dead in one use. So now with Borealis's Mist, if we let this build up, again, he has died in one take. The really good thing about this as well, in my opinion, is because you're not using Golden Vow, we're just using Rallying Standard, we don't need to switch from one incantation to another. You just drink your flask, use Rallying Standard, and then it's just about using the seal to cast the incantation. So if we now check out Agil's Flame, this one is going to be even more juicy. And it all depends on the enemy type, because enemies are going to have different resistances. You'll have some that are weak to fire whilst they're strong against frostbite, and then you'll have it vice versa. So it's all about just finding the weakness of the enemy you're facing. Then with the final one, Placidusax's Ruin, I'm a little bit nervous about this one, because I haven't tested it against enemies recently. I've used it a lot before, but because it's holy damage, I still have the Fire Scorpion charm on. I haven't switched over, so obviously you can buff it even further. And that's the same for the others as well. Borealis's Mist, I was using the Fire Scorpion charm. But the thing is, this is more of an AoE based, in my opinion, just because it spins around so much. Although, to be fair, it is still really strong, and it does that little bit at the end where it lifts up and it's got like the final spew of the holy damage. And yeah, it's still like, I would recommend not really running Placidusax's Ruin unless you really want to get that holy damage, because if we go and we have a look at the Dragon Incantations quickly, I mean, obviously, if your stats are high enough and you've got it, like you've got all the way to the Crumbling Pharaoh Missoula, you've taken down the Dragon Lord, then absolutely go for it. But if we do take a look at the incantations, this is going to use up 3 slots of your memory slots. So it takes up way more, because every other one only uses 1 slot. Not only that, it has an FP cost of 80, and that's compared to 36 on 3 of them, and 48 on Borealis's Mist. At the same time, depending on your levels, you will need 36 faith to run this, so that's the minimum faith you'll need to put this like actual build together. Whereas if you take Placidusax's Ruin out, instead of 36, the highest amount of faith you need is 23. But you have all this different choice, variety, and everything. That is going to be a look at our Faith, Arcane, Dragon Lord build, whatever you want to call it. But that is ultimately how to become a Dragon Lord in Elden Ring. And that is going to wrap up the video. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.